Hello there folks, and welcome back to my YouTube channel, a place where I discuss different topics about spirituality and introspection. And this time I came up with a question regarding the topic which many people seem to either fear or hate nowadays, and that is the topic of billionaires. Now it is becoming more and more obvious that people who have so great incomes don't necessarily have the greatest interest of the people. Rather, they're playing each and every one their own agendas. They're playing each and every one their own, points into why they should or shouldn't help humanity, why they should do certain things, for their survival. And when it comes to someone having, billions of dollars as income per month, and the question is, if you have such an income, why are you still vibrating at a low frequency of survival? Because after all, the point is, if you have so great income and you're still worried about your survival, well, there is something kind of awkward happening in your own psyche, right? You're kind of affected by the mindset that, you have all the money in the world and it's still not enough. This will always imply that you're gonna live in the detriment of other people. So the question is, why are you, the population, the commoner, right? Why are you fearing billionaires? After all their income is coming specifically from you. Not necessarily you specifically, but from the population. Because so many people fear that, Bill Gates has so much power with his Windows, right? And if he suddenly wishes to shut down all the windows in the world, well, that's not going to affect his income much, because his income doesn't, I think his income barely comes from Windows sales. After all, so many people use alternate Windows versions, right, like pirated editions, because there is so much control into those. And it's becoming more and more frustrating with dumb pushed upgrades, and updates to your Windows that always seem to be ruining something in your computer. Like, it happened to me twice. I got my sound completely ruined and I had to reinstall my Windows. So the point is, why are you actually afraid of these people? Well, first of all, you are afraid of these people because you have been taught a sense of powerlessness, right? You believe you're powerless in front of your parents, because they always abuse you more or less with their power, right? They are always right, they always must be right. As a child, you're kind of living a slave life anyways, because you have to do literally everything your parents say. Then you go to school, which does that at an even greater level, because suddenly there are more adults that you should abide to. But at the same time, I don't see Bill Gates designing his own Windows. Billionaires only have to do one thing, okay? They supervise, they never or rarely work. However, the life of a billionaire is always full of events that you have to attend to. Now, the point with such events is that most of all, there are kind of all fake. Like, think about all those situations and the awards, right? You have CNN and other top class television programs, and there are all those awards that there are given, right? And it's kind of a charade, because, well, it's almost commonplace, that it's almost common knowledge that they just gather in one of those secret meetings of theirs, and they just give one award to the other, and it's like, okay, this year you're the best in this year you're the best in that. And it's just a fakery of life, because such people don't know how to live life. Because if you're so attached to materialism, right? Like, think about it, okay? People and commoners, they are losing their businesses, and billionaires are gaining more and more money. Now their only interest is to buy space. Now the question is, why would you buy space? Space is there for everyone, right? It's just an obsession to simply label anything with a cost, and then suddenly purchase it with all the money that you have. And at the same time, I bet they still feel poor that they can't buy the whole universe, right? I'm sure they will most likely buy the sun, and who knows, Bill Gates has those plans of theirs to simply cover the earth in dust, right, to blot out the sun. It's like, Why would you blot out the sun? Oh yes, I'm sure they're using the idea of global warming, but isn't, dimming out the sun gonna influence the whole world? Like, are we being invaded by vampires or what? Because those are the only creatures that are afraid of the sun, right? Like, and then it's like one day you will find out, hey, we actually bought the sun, right? And we can actually decide now because, well, if you control the weather, you can control the winds. And with huge amounts of dust in the atmosphere, it's like you can actually probably control which country gets more or less sun, right? And why is everyone, aiming to go for other planets, right? We have turned this beautiful jewel into dust almost, and we just want to go out and ruin other worlds, right? Because it's never ever gonna be enough, right? And all this stemming from the fact that we haven't been nurtured when we are young, right? So we end up in some kind of narcissistic spectrum or sociopathic aspect in which if we have suffered, everyone else must suffer at least 1,000 times more, right? So the question is there some kind of, planetary government that is being built into space or on the moon, right? And some kind of laser satellites that, will punish the unfaithful, in case people simply don't want to abide to the new government where, the billionaires probably will be spending their miserable lives there in some kind of space station or the such, right? And why would so many of these people have a miserable life is, well, one doesn't need much of a proof, right? Like, they just are simply bent on buying more and more and more, right? They just buy literally everything. They're technically ruining the lives of people because corporations aren't doing anything else. You barely want to have a business of your own, then a corporation comes and simply ruins your existence. And so many people still believe that corporations actually help you develop. They do have a habit of, giving people some experience because, well, corporations are spread everywhere, so they can help people, you know, uh, improve and gain experience that they want. But considering that most of these giants simply don't care about people and even call you as, work resources. If something calls you a resource, it's like, why the fuck do you accept it, right? Why are you fearing rich people when honestly you are the ones that are doing literally all their work? You are the programmers of Bill Gates' Windows. You are the programmers of literally everything. You can simply turn against them and simply say, what, you know what, you simply keep all your money, we're not interested in it anymore. We're gonna create our own money and we're not gonna share it with you, right? Because we know who you are, and technically we just know that, we won't be serving you anymore. You can take as much as of our own money if you want, but we simply won't be serving you, right? So it's just this intimidation that, they have all the money in the world. But ever since the 70s, America has been printing millions and millions of dollars each and every day because, well, they removed the dollar from that, international law that allowed you to print money based on how much gold you had, right? So if there is so much that is being printed, right, and these people, like, where are those dollars, right? If so much is being printed, right? And so many will say, well, in the pockets of the billionaires. But billionaires also aren't necessarily rich because, well, they don't have a life, right? If all you're doing is just purchasing everything as if your life depends on that, well, they're just like the commoner people, right? They're just they're just living life as if, they're always on the verge of extinction, right? It's an aspect of narcissism. It's never enough, and you must also gather more and more, right? And you're the one building their cars. You're the ones, designing uh, their businesses. You're the one actually working their corporations, right? So many people might say, well, what do we have to do? Well, you are together, okay? Everything is against you in this society, and if you are not waking up, well, chances are you'll probably wake up in your next life in which you'll be even greater of a slave. So the question is, what exactly should you be doing? Well, how about you think about that? How about you wake up other people, right? Because that's how you do. If you don't unite, well, you will simply fall one by one because think about all the things, right? a disease is much more profitable than the cure. And don't ever think that there will be a vaccine for the coronavirus, right? And then you have now mandatory vaccinations so many places in the world, but it's still not gonna prevent you from, wearing a government mandated muzzle, right? You're not exempt from wearing the face mask, okay? And are you simply dumb enough to not realize that the face mask doesn't even help you? It's just a piece of cloth. It's like you're putting a piece of underwear on your face, okay? The particles that it stops, okay, are much bigger than viruses are, okay? Because they only stop particles that are a few millimeters big, okay? Which means a few millimeters. Viruses, okay, they are nanometers, okay, which means 1,000 times smaller, right? So how do you think this piece of cloth will simply protect you, right? This is just a contest in society. Whoever is more, you know, submissive to authority, because so many people expect authority to do something for them, but it's never ever gonna happen, right? Now you can also see that governments are kind of withdrawing in a way because corporations are kind of replacing them. And well, if you look at reality as it actually is, governments haven't been existing since the years 70, right? Since the 70s, because well, corporations kind of have taken the whole monopoly. And well, especially after the 90s, right? After the fall of communism, and well, a very widespread move in the old communist countries, right? The post-communist countries, right? Everything has been bought for literally nothing because communism also fell, due to internal failures and struggles, but at the same time due to internal sabotages, right? There have been the right people infiltrated where they had to, and well, they got the power, and once communism fell, literally everything that communism built was sold for literally nothing. See the cases of Romania and Eastern Germany, right? So, all these being said, just remember you have the power, and everything the elites are doing is because they are afraid of you, right? They are just so little, so few, and they have no empathy for you. So when you don't have empathy for other things, you will always miss all the aspects of life, and at the same time you will always live in fear because, well, why not, right? If you miss all the aspects of life, the only thing that is there for you is just fear. So all this being said, you are appreciated, take care of yourselves, become more introspective, and you'll see that the answers you are looking for are just there inside of you. Take care, Ferenc Board signing out.